Hi, welcome to the marketplace. Let's get you updated on what is making news this hour. The World Bank is making a strong case for Ghana to adopt more aggressive measures to help contain its high debt levels. The call is coming at a time that Ghana has embarked on a series of programs to help push its debt to sustainable levels by 2028. But speaking to journalists after the launch of the World Bank Development Report, chief economist at the bank, Indemit Gill, said Ghana must now look at keeping the debt ratio at very low levels.
Ghana has been a lower middle income country now for more than a decade, and the growth rate has been positive but not high enough as compared to East Asian countries. So I think one of the things that Ghana will probably have to do is try to see how to increase the growth rate. Now, the other issue, of course, is that you want to make sure that you increase it in a way that is not based on borrowing too much. So you shouldn't be borrowing a lot from outside except for the most high return investment projects. And then the other thing is that one has to keep one's public debt to GDP ratio low. So because the problem with that, of course, is that when the cost of borrowing is low, it's easy to sustain a high debt to GDP ratio. But the cost of borrowing, as you found over the last 4 or 5 years, can go up too, just as it goes down. So I think a debt to GDP ratio, a public debt to GDP ratio of no more than 50% of GDP is what I think is a growth-friendly rate. So I think that the sort of reforms that Ghana is doing now are steps in the right direction. We'll probably need more of that now. But the thing is that what one has to do is you have to sustain these growth rates for not just for 10 years or 15 years or even 20 years. The countries that have done very well have sustained them for 30, 40, 50 years. So South Korea, which we talked about a lot, actually sustained 5+% growth rates for more than 50 years. China did it for 30 years, right? India has now done it for 15 years and so on. And India was way behind Ghana in terms of per capita income until not so long ago. Now India's per capita income is higher. And India is shooting for even higher growth rates. So they're not happy with 7% growth rates and so on. They would like to get it up to 8, 9%. There's no reason why Ghana, with its educated people, with lots of natural resources, with lots of so many other assets in terms of both its human capital as well as its natural resources, there's no reason why Ghana shouldn't be growing even faster, even at 5, 10% growth.
While speaking at the same program, economist Professor Peter Quartey urged government to be heavy on revenue to deal effectively with the debt situation.
You know, the report talks about investment. And if you have a low revenue, your savings level is low. We have to save and invest about 15 to 20% or even more, like Botswana and other countries. Yet our revenue is low, around 15%. So we have a gap. And how do you finance that gap? We borrow from capital market, because when you become a middle-income country, you cannot borrow from certain concessional sources like IDA or the World Bank, etc. So we are shut out of the concessional loan market, and that brings a lot of problems. So my point is, let's step back, look at where we find ourselves, and what can we do to accelerate the investment that he's proposing, then also the innovation, the infusion. One point he made is for us to infuse foreign capital. I think we have to combine both foreign capital and local capital. We have to innovate locally as well. We cannot continue to rely on external technology all the time. We have the brains, we have the institutions, and we need to resource them to do so.
Now, government is projecting further reduction in prices of foodstuff in the coming months following measures implemented to boost food production and contain the recent dry spell that hit parts of the country. Dr. Brian Champong is the Minister of Agriculture. He has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
We are putting in another $80 million worth of inputs, largely $60 million in fertilizer and 20 or so odd million in seeds. We are pumping that into the market, and so we should be able to see the price of food continue to trend down all the way into April, May of next year, and we are confident about that.
That is very interesting projection.
It's not just a projection, it's projection based of planning. Okay, if you look on the screen there, I have 839,000 farmers across the country that I'm tracking their activities. Every one of the 830,000 farmers. And every day, the number keeps going up. Today alone, we've registered more than 20,000 farmers, just today.
Those who are signing up to get the packages
Yes.
that you're offering to them?
And, well, we are registering farmers in this country so that we are able to track their activities. When they do land development, when they plant the seed, what type of seed they plant, the yield of the seed, what type of fertilizer they apply, when they apply it, the expected yield of the farm, when the harvest is going to be, when the product is coming on the market, the cost of the farmer's input, and the expected farm gate price of the product, and then the market price of the product. We are tracking all that, and I'm saying that I am, as we speak, 839,000 farmers are registered, and I'm sitting here, I'm able to know what each one of them is doing, and therefore I am able to track what quantity of maize is going to come on the market, what the price is going to be, and if it is going to be south, I know how to prop it up. That is what we're doing. Intelligent food systems planning. It's not just something that we're just pulling out of a Houdini and saying that we don't know. We know what we are talking about. We've planned it so, and that's exactly what is going to deliver.
I know your men on the ground play a critical role in terms of supply of data to the statistical service.
No, the supply, we collect our own data.
Okay, so is there going to be any engagement in terms of trying to reconcile the numbers to ensure that what the ministry has in terms of food prices, again reflecting whatever they are feeding into their data at the national level?
Well, look, we are on every market, every day. And we have more than one person on the market. So if you go to Agbogbloshie market and we collect the price of tomatoes, okay, from Market Queen A, Market Queen B, we have other people also going to Agbogbloshie market collecting the same data. So the system is able to tell us, okay, that the information that we are getting is accurate or near accurate, and we're able to statistically plan. We collect, look, we know the trucks that are entering Atebubu market and the content of that truck. If it is maize, if it is plantain, if it is cassava, we know all that. We have the information which allows us to plan our food system. So it is not something that somebody is just sitting in their bedroom and texting. If you are not on location, you can't even send us the information.
Oh no, but what is the ministry doing about this challenge that we always had in the past, where you realize that there is abundance of food on the market, but it appears that cutting that foodstuffs from the farm gate to the market, you often witness a significant spike in the prices. Transport fares have been fairly stable.
Yeah.
So what are your men on the ground telling you?
But you're also speaking as though that is actually still the trend. That in itself is coming.
Changed?
It's coming down. It's coming down. The distribution margins are coming down. I mean, and that is why the farm gate price of maize in Atebubu, okay, is 600 Ghana cedis. The farm gate price of maize in Atebubu is 600 Ghana cedis. If you come to the Atebubu market, it's 770. Previously, they will sell at the farm gate at 600, and on the market it will be at 1,000. But from Atebubu to Atebubu market, you are seeing 170 margin, which is the transportation, all the people that cart the goods to the market and all those things. And we can accept that price.
Now, the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana says it will be inaccurate to blame shipping lines for the high cost of doing business at the country's seaports. The association is pointing fingers at some regulators over charges and fees slapped on carriers operating in the country's shipping space, adding to the freight cost. Executive member Adam Imoro Ayana disclosed this at a media briefing at Tema, where correspondent Kwame Yanka filed this report.
For decades, stakeholders, including freight forwarders, have highlighted high cost of doing business at Ghana's seaports compared to neighboring countries, including Togo. They say local administrative charges and other fees by shipping lines are contributory factors to the challenge, but it appears shipping lines have a different view. The shipping lines have revealed that until state institutions and regulators such as Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Maritime Authority, and Ghana Shippers Authority review their charges, cost of doing business at the port will continue to remain high. Here is the executive member of the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana, Adam Imoro Ayana, at a media briefing as part of their stakeholder engagement.
That's as 2022, Abidjan Port was slightly higher than Ghana Ports and Harbors charges. Let's get that right. But in totality, because of the Ghana Maritime charge also, Ghana beat Abidjan Port by miles. Like you saw it, at that time, Ghana Port charge plus the Ghana Maritime Authority charge was about $47,000 or so, as against Abidjan also of $27,000. Yes, Abidjan was 27, Ghana in total, the totality, 47 versus 27. And even this, the Steve Doran charges are not part of it. You know, when you look at Lomé, where we are 40-something, Lomé is 11,000, 12,000. Maybe they might all have increased, but not to the level.
Meanwhile, Adam Imoro Ayana says shipping lines have no option but to pass on the cost incurred due to levies from such regulators.
So there are some cost drivers that also increases this thing. It's like if a shipping line is being levied by Ghana Shippers Authority, either 2% of freight or $2 per ton, you are charging the cargo. And it's because of the cargo that I'm coming to Ghana. And so where do you want me to get that money from? Me and whoever is making me to come to Ghana will share that cost. Or that person will have to pay that cost. And we shouldn't forget, there's something also called port development, port infrastructure development. That is also levied on cargo. And this one will be a shared responsibility for both the importers and the shipping lines to chip in.
Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana indicated that shipping lines on their part will continue to ensure efficiency in their operations.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We're taking a short break. We will be back with show business. All right, welcome back to The Marketplace. Time to lighten up the atmosphere a bit because it's a Friday. Over the past 2 decades, the landscape of how we consume and pay for content is evolving rapidly. On today's show business segment, we are exploring the role of innovative payment systems with the creative scene growing at a sonic pace. We will assess its impact on the industry across the continent. To help us, as always, culture journalist Kenneth Auchodako. Good afternoon to you. He's been following this so closely. So tell us, first of all, how payment systems have evolved on the continent over the years and how that is especially leading to the rise in the use of digital platforms.
So Daryl, we all know that as the years have gone by, there have been new technologies that have basically increased the efficiency or the speed at which things are being done. There has been, we've seen some of these innovations translate in other areas, including the entertainment space. And when it comes to like the showbiz area, you realize that even the ways of purchasing, for instance, tickets to events, those mediums has really changed. Initially, you would have to pay cash or something similar to be able to maybe access an event or be able to access a specific platform. But these days, they have all sorts of technological innovations that help people make those sort of payments seamlessly through like just a button on their phone, amongst other areas. Some of these things range from, even when it comes to, you've seen banking systems employ some of these technologies and being innovative in making these payments very seamless. One of them also is mobile money, and it is something that Ghana, for instance, has maximized very efficiently. We've seen year on year the value go up. This year, for instance, we've seen that the mobile money transactions were valued at about 224 billion cedis as of like a month or two ago. So that shows that there are a lot of people patronizing this, and the entertainment space is not left out at all. All
right. I mean, you talk about the streams, and so I just need to know how the payment platforms are helping in the rise in the use of streaming services.
So the very core of the streaming services, for instance, if you look at Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you consume your entertainment content from, the very base of the way they are able to make value or create value out of what they produce is the way they receive payments from users. So initially, you'd find that a lot of Ghanaians are beginning to catch on when it comes to technological or e-payments, and that is one of the bases on which some of these frameworks exist. So Netflix, for instance, you have to pay, through your banking service or whichever way that you can. You can't pay anybody physical cash on Netflix or Apple Music or whatever it is. So the innovation or these technologies when it comes to payment systems are helping Ghanaians be able to access some of these platforms and Africa as a whole. So when it comes to the entertainment space, these are some of the ways that the payment systems upgrade are really helping creatives put their work out there and also consumers to access those,
And not
products.
only is it helping the creatives put their work out there, but to get them paid as well. Tell us about that.
Exactly. So initially, we know that traditionally, I should say, the physical exchange of cash for product is something that has been in existence for a long time. But in terms of reaching some of these platforms that I talked about, you need to be able to reach or make these payments digitally. And we know that initially we've seen that there has been some growth in it in terms of like the bankable population, and we are seeing many people get into the space of using some of these technologies. So
Right.
they are all trying to get in there. And in that sense as well, the creatives are able to get their money from those platforms without even having a lot of middlemen in between who would have initially maybe shortchanged them or taken a chunk of what they deserve, but are now able to access their funds directly from the consumers, no matter how you look at it.
All right, culture journalist Kenneth Awotridako, thank you so much. That's
You're
the
welcome,
marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Enjoy your weekend.